All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the #1 podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you tuned in live, go ahead, put your flames in the chat. You already know I have with me the king of branding himself, Mr. Shaan Rais, and we're going to be talking about branding this morning. Shaan, what's up?
Hey, what's going on with the background, man? I don't know, you're showing me up, man. I feel some kind of way. Look, I even forgot to turn my lights on, man. I said, it doesn't make sense for me to turn on the lights, man. It looks like you're in heaven right there.
Oh, nah, man, that's a fake. It's a fake background, guys. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's just a screenshot. It's just a screensaver, Shaan, I promise.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, yeah, it's if you see some birds flying, yeah, man, that's a 2023 screensaver, man.
Wow, okay. So he's trying to be funny now. You see the leaves in the back, guys. I think Junior trying to be funny. I think he's trying to play with us.
Yeah, just a little bit,
So
What's
tell
up,
us,
guys?
what's really going on, man? What's really going on? Where are you located right now?
I'm located in the south of the island, in a place called Vieux-Fort. That's the way it's pronounced. It's French. So all of the constituencies in my country, they're French. So we have a
Okay.
very interesting history. Actually, they fought 14 wars over my country. The British won 7 times, the French won 7 times. So some English stuff stayed, and then some French stuff stayed as well. So the French they name like the whole country. So it's a French word. Yeah.
History lesson. Good stuff. All right, guys. So, like Junior said, I was telling other people okay, we have Olivia. Olivia Russell is also on LinkedIn Voice. We have Winnie Endurance Amir. We have C. Sunny Martin on IG. We are live right now on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Let me say it again, guys. All you need is a phone. All you need is a phone. Stop thinking you need the world to get into business. Stop thinking you need $1 million to get into business and to do the value add, right? Like add value to the people that you add value to. I see you, Shade. Phenomenal morning, Coach B. I see you, right? And actually, what we're going to be talking about today is coaching, right? So
All right.
Monday is branding, Tuesday is coaching. So we're going to go deep into executive performance. Junior was not scheduled to be here. He said, I'm going to make it my point to be on. I think he kind of saved you guys. I told him, I said I was going to go real raw and real hard in the paint when it comes to the coaching piece. Because listen, I want to save it. I want to save it for a minute. Go ahead. Be nice to him, Junior. Be nice to him.
Guys, I don't know what Shaan was talking about there. I don't know what he had in store for you, I promise. But it seems like something very, very big. Something very, very big. Shaan, we've spoken about coaching so much, man. And coaching is such a phenomenal subject, such a big subject. I'm not sure where to start, to be honest. Like everybody should know what coaching is, right? If you've been looking at this show for a little while, then you should have some idea of what coaching is. Right? So in fact, Shaan, let's talk about coaching as a form of communication.
Okay.
Because I've heard you say that coaching is the new language of leadership. So can you break down exactly what do you mean by that? Exactly.
Yes, definitely. So coaching elicits performance. Coaching elicits performance. So you're eliciting a higher level of performance from the listener. Very important. Very important to understand that. Coaching is also supportive, but it's not supportive in the sense of cushioning, not in the sense of cushioning or weakening, right? So I always say that I'm a coach, not a couch. I'm not a counselor. I have nothing against counseling. I come from a counseling background. However, I chose to move into coaching, which is a future focused, goal and action oriented process. Future focused, goal and action oriented process. Emphasis on action, emphasis on process, and there's emphasis on future. You got to have a vision. You got to have a vision, and the coach helps you align your behavior with the vision so that you can attain it, no matter what it is. You got to have a vision. And if you have the right coach, then your vision should be a huge one. It should be a huge one. So when it comes to the communication piece, a coach helps you to become an aspirant, a higher level performer, and achieve things that you never before thought possible. They should stretch you, they should challenge you. And as a result, they don't change you, but as a result of the challenge and as a result of the eliciting of high level executive performance, ye become changed.
100%. You know, one important thing you just said there, Sean, is they don't change you.
Nope.
So there's the coach, but you know, we don't often talk about the coachee. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what is the responsibility of the coachee in the relationship, in the coaching relationship? Because so many times we place the emphasis on the coach. Like the coach is not doing their job, or the coach is not doing this, or the coach doesn't work, or the coach. But I don't know anybody talking about, you know, what's the responsibility of the coachee. So like the person getting the coaching, what is their responsibility in that relationship?
I absolutely love it. Okay, guys. So first things first, right? And this is for both sides. This is for the coaches, and this is for my coachees, those who want coaching, those who look in coaching and like coaching and are enthralled with, enamored with, attracted to the science and the discipline that is coaching, and those of us who like to fancy ourselves as coaches. The first responsibility on the coach's side is to have one of three disciplines. One of three disciplines: education, experience, or expertise. One of three. Empathy is a part of it, right? So I say the three E's with a fourth addition. So education, experience, and expertise. This is even for a relationship coach. They should have experience and they should have expertise. So I've said this a million times. I'm not going to a relationship coach for a problem in my relationship when the relationship coach is on his fourth or fifth spouse. I can't get coaching from you. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't help me. I've listened to some phenomenal people that have had multiple relationships and multiple marriages, but I'm not seeking them out for advice concerning something I want to be successful in when they've evidenced failure or multiple failure, right? So you got to have success. You got to have experience, expertise, and education in that field in which you coach. I want you to be an expert. I want you to be successful. I want to, if anybody, I would go to one of those when it comes to relationships, right? I would go to a 70-year-old who has 50 years of marriage. That would be the kind of person that I would go to that has the evidence-based success. You should probably write that down, guys. Evidence-based. Evidence-based. You want it to be evidence-based, not theory. Not theory. So that's one of the things. The responsibility of the coach E. The responsibility of the coach E is to, number one, be holding to the agreement. As a professional, be holding to the agreement. And this is going to save both sides a lot of problems. Make the payment. See, coaching has become like knitting for some people. It's become a hobby. It's become like rolling dice, gambling. It's become like watching a movie. It's become a fanciful fairy tale pastime, as opposed to the real science and discipline, evidence based leadership tool that it is. Coaching is not fishing, it's professional. And as a professional, the coach E, think about Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan had coaches. Do you think those coaches ever got a email that said, "I'm sorry, coach, but I'm the organization, the NBA is having struggles, financial struggles during the financial crisis. I'm sure you're aware of the financial crisis. So due to the financial crisis, the NBA is experiencing hardships, and we're not going to be able to pay you, Phil Jackson. We're not going to be able to pay you this month or this quarter. We just need you to keep working with Michael Jordan and keep him, you know, keep him in the air, or keep Kobe on the ground and keep Shaq a beast and a gorilla." That's not going to happen, right? So the first responsibility we have to have as professionals is to make the payment. Make the payment. The more time that you want with the coach, make it a heavy payment. The more heavy you want the result, the more heavy the payment. Now, on the other side of it, again, is the obligation and the ethical components of the coach to be who he's supposed to be. Have those three E's and that fourth one, but the first three are most important: education, experience, and expertise. Be who you say you are. And if you're not going, get the expertise that you need to be able to charge the prices that we like to charge in coaching as professionals. You know, I teach put a zero behind your number, but you can't put a zero behind your number if you flunked out of kindergarten. You know,
But
yeah, if you can't transform yourself, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be very good at transforming other people.
Sean, I agree 100%. I like some of the comments I see, guys. If, by the way, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead, just put them in the comments. So Coach B says to be coachable and in agreement.
Very good.
So she also says
Hmm.
coaching starts at agreement, payment, and investment. Yep.
Coaching
And it's all
starts.
about being professional. It's all about being professional. That's all it is.
That's
Yep.
right.
It's all about
And
being professional.
responsibility.
Professional means that you get paid to do something. That's what
Very.
being a professional means. Yeah.
I was speaking with somebody yesterday, right? We actually enrolled a phenomenal client. Get ready for him, guys. We enrolled a phenomenal client yesterday, and I was speaking to him after the close to pay attention to the process. Because a lot of us, in loving on people and in the empathy piece, we operate like a 501c3 instead of an LLC or a C corp or an S corp. We operate as a 501c3, and we operate with our hearts instead of our heads, and we want to save the world, right? If that's you, then you can probably empathize with yourself here, right? Where you just coach, and then you find out that nobody values your time and people don't value you, they don't value you. And then when you finally do come around to get the courage after you've helped someone get over some things that change their lives, and then you finally muster up the courage to whisper something about a payment, they shut you down strongly, right? So I told him, I said, there's what we call the transformational transaction in coaching. There's what we call the transformational transaction. Winnie, how are you doing? So Winnie just came. She switched over from LinkedIn voice to IG. Phenomenal morning. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Let's go, right? So there's what we call the transformational transaction. And I told the individual, I said, there are three levels of transformation. There's three levels of transformation. There's primary, intermediary, and tertiary. Primary, intermediary, and tertiary. So the primary transformation takes place as you're giving free value, like this. Someone can hear this and be like, "Oh, wow, I'm supposed to be charging for my fees?" What does Sean mean? He says I'm operating like a 501c3, right? So this is the primary intervention. This is the primary value, right? This is the primary, intervention in your thinking. So I want you to get it, and I want you to understand it, and I want you to be empowered, and I want you to be economically empowered, not just intellectually empowered and stimulated and physically or economically broke at the same time. I want you to understand business, right? So there's the primary, which is the value that you give for free. And then there's the intermediary. And something interesting happens in the intermediary because numbers are mentioned. So I did the whole process. I listened. I did the discovery session. I'm listening to the pain points. I'm discovering the process. And I said, okay. And I provided the value and said, these are the certain things and areas in which we can help you through this intervention, through this modality, through this, this strategy, not tactic, but strategic intervention. We can come in here and help you by positioning the brand and helping you to position and formulate your products and formulate your value and create your offers and all of these different things. And he's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the transaction took place. And then after the transaction, after the intermediary transaction, or after the intermediary transformation, now comes the tertiary transformation. So now you have access to the courses, you have access to the coaches, you have access to the community, you have access to the curriculum. Now that the real transformation begins to take place. What happens is a lot of people try to give all the meat away in the beginning and then realize at the end of the day, they were speaking to somebody who wasn't qualified for one of many reasons. They were speaking to somebody who, A, might not have believed in themselves, B, might not have believed in your ability to help them, and C, they might just not have had any money at all and bad credit, so they don't qualify in any of your methodologies of withdrawing payment, right? So he asked me too. He said, "So how do I avoid that?" And I said, "Listen, keep it short and sweet. Keep it real short and sweet. Keep it brief and keep it to the point. You don't need 15. You don't need more than. You don't need a half hour to get to the crew of things."
100%. Guys, we're actually overdue for a short break. So when we come back, we're talking more about coaching. Stay tuned.
All right. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, guys, we are back. So, Sean, we do have a couple of comments here. So, Kwame says, levels to this.
Ah, yes.
Very
Definitely.
true. Yvette.
That's like getting on a plane. It's definitely levels.
Yes, yes. Yvette says, you're absolutely right. Evidence-based is so true. Raise your skill set and overserve. You know the funny thing, Sean? There are actually ways. So we often talk about monetizing free. So for my people who like to over deliver on the value, there are ways you can still do that and still get paid. Of course, we can never talk about them here because you don't have enough time. We have to talk about them inside the leadership leverage. So I know how to monetize free. Right? People always tell me, well, you give away so much information. It's okay. It's okay to give away information as long as you know how to monetize free. And it's very, very simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. But we talk about that stuff inside the leadership leverage. In fact, if you want to learn more about that, I think Sean just put a link there. It's called www.livedeepdive.com. Just register. It's actually free. So there you go. It's free.
Free.
It's like I was talking about. It's free.
Practice what we teach, right?
Yeah, it's 100% free. You could come in. And yeah, if for some reason we end up talking, you and I, then I could teach you how to monetize free. But you have to come in there, which is www.livedeepdive.com. So guys, you shouldn't be afraid basically to give away information. Like I haven't scratched the surface of what I know, and I'm giving away information every day. So like if somebody could deplete your knowledge, then you need more knowledge. Yeah, nobody could deplete my knowledge. So I don't feel that way. You understand what I mean?
That's right.
I don't feel that way. So if somebody could deplete your knowledge, then you need more knowledge. That's all it means.
You're not deep enough.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to go back. Let me say something about education, right? So, like you said, if a person feels like their information can be depleted, that means that they're not deep enough, and they need to really dig deep into those 3 E's: the education, experience, and expertise. Right? You need to consistently be filling yourself up with education, experience, and expertise. It's a unanimous decision. It's incumbent upon you as a coach in education, in certification, for God's sakes, not even education, in certification, there's what they call annual re-ups or quarterly or biannual or every 5 years, you need to get recertified. And that's just to make sure that you're keeping your fingers to the pulse of the industry that you're certified in. Because things change consistently and you have to keep your knowledge present and relevant. And that's what coaching is. Coaching keeps your knowledge prevalent and accessible to now, applicable to now, to today. This is why in college, they'll only take references 5 years and above, 5 years and sooner. Anything over 5 years past is way beyond something that's acceptable in evidence-based scholarship because your references are too old. They're outdated. Knowledge, write this down, guys. Knowledge becomes outdated. Principles do not. Tactics change. Strategies do not. The tactical, the small stuff like iOS 14 threw all the Facebook ad guys for a loop. They were like, oh my God, what do we do now? And a lot of people went out of business. A lot of people went out of business when it happened because they didn't know how to ethically and empirically and organically add value to the client. They had to purchase the client. They had to spend money and try to use this term called CAC, cost to acquire a client, right? So, I mean, everybody has their own theory and their own motivation and methodology behind business. It's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that it's unethical. I'm just saying that you want to have multiple different strategies because if not, and if you rely on one strategy with 3 tactics that fall under that one strategy, when the game changes, you're going to be out of business. You're going to be outdated and you're going to be in constant panic trying to make it up. Right. So your knowledge, your education, experience, and expertise has to continue to be relevant. In education, they call it CEUs, continuing educational units, that you have to consistently get in order to stay relevant. Absolutely mandatory. So when he says, say it, Sean, she says, knowledge should never be depleted. If you are living consciously, drop the mic, completely in agreement with what we're sharing. Kimberly Fallis, welcome. Phenomenal morning. Guys, tell me what you think about that. Tell me what you think about continuing education units, continuing to continue to revisit the reservoir, revisit the source of information. When do you think education stops?
Doesn't.
You think education stops? I mean, I said it a little while ago, you know, I have 2 master's degrees. I'm in tandem with 2 doctorates, and they're conferring a 3rd master's degree on me. And I don't feel like I've even begun to learn. I'll be honest with you. Like, I've already looked at another whole piece, another whole PhD, because I just don't feel like I'll ever stop learning. I'm not like, people are done with school in the 7th grade sometimes. You know, I never feel like I'll be done with school. So when he says you stop being educated when you die, that sounds religious to me. It sounds scientifically proven at the same time. I know all of the religions agree on this. They say to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave.
100%. We have Travis, the critic, says something very similar, right, on YouTube. But yeah, I agree. I mean, just logically, Sean, you never stop learning. The question is, are you going to consciously learn? Are you going to consciously make the decision to learn? That's it. It's just like building a brand. Are you going to consciously build your brand or not? But you're always going to learn. The thing is, to what extent are you going to learn? What are you actually going to learn, right? And how are you going to learn? So that's very important. How are you going to learn? Are you going to be what we call a high-level thinker, or are you going to be a low-level thinker? And high doesn't mean good, low doesn't mean bad. Let me just say that. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision as to how you're going to learn. How you're going to learn. Yeah. Maybe I should go into that a little bit more. Let me go into that a little bit more, Sean.
Please
So
do.
when you look at somebody who's a high-level thinker, like a high-level concept, you're looking at somebody. So there's 2 kinds of thinking, guys. There's what you call divergent thinking, and there's convergent thinking. So you might want to write that down. So divergent thinking.
It sounds like a pin moment, guys. I'm going to take a drink of water. Go ahead.
So there's something called divergent thinking, and there's something called convergent thinking. So in school, when we go to school, they teach us a lot of convergent thinking, which is, how do you get one solution to a problem? So for example, there's this meme going around where people say, they give you some math equation and they say find X. And then there's always one smart kid, he just underlines the X on the paper, and he draws a little arrow and he says, here's the X. Technically, he's right. But, you know, the school wants us to go about a certain methodology that they've deemed to be correct, right? To find a certain solution. So there's only one solution to a problem. That's convergent thinking. Now, divergent thinking is where you could think about multiple solutions to one problem, or multiple ways of solving one problem. So when you look at people like, let's say, Elon Musk or other high-level thinkers, they can think about multiple solutions to one problem, as opposed to thinking about or trying to tie themselves into one solution to one problem. So eventually, you have to learn how to think.
You know,
everybody here is a CEO, right, Sean? And you know, you know that one of the CEO's biggest jobs is the ability to think. You know that. So everybody has to learn how to think. Most people never think about, how am I thinking? You know, how am I learning? What am I learning? So yes, education is important, but there's also a part of education that has to do with learning how to think.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to add a little bit to it, right? I want to say that there's 2 kinds of education. 2 kinds of education. And as soon as I begin to allude on it, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I get it. I want you to think about which one you are. That's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about which kind of education do you have. Realist, be honest with yourself. First, I want to say, Coach B says I have to consistently keep my credentials up to date and assist others in keeping their credentials up to date. And I love learning, right? So she has to keep her credentials up to date because she's a professional. She's in a professional market. You're in a professional trade, guys. You can't just come out here and say, "Oh, I'm going to coach," and look upon other people who may say they're a coach and may not have credentials at I was about to say ethics and moral responsibility. They might not have their credentials up. They might not be so educated or experienced, and then say, "You know what? I'm going to follow them, and I don't need to study. I'm just going to hang my shingle." Right? But coaching, watch this, guys. My evidence-based coaching degree falls under industrial and organizational psychology. I got a master's in industrial and organizational psychology, and they just quantified industrial and organizational psychology as a STEM field, a STEM discipline, science, technology, engineering, and math. I said, wow, am I that deep? I don't know, Junior. I don't.
Hold on. You said that it's STEM.
Yeah,
you said the IO.
Yeah,
IO is STEM.
Industrial and organizational psychology. It's psychological and motivational human performance engineering, behavioral engineering. I was like, woo. But that's the discipline under which my evidence-based coaching methodology comes from, right? So when I say that, I'm a coach, I always have to distinguish myself and say I'm not the coach that took the course or read the book. I'm the coach that created the course and wrote the book. Right?
Shaan, quick question.
Yeah.
Is this the same thing as human engineering? I've heard something like that.
It's behavioral engineering. It's
right.
Behavioral motive. It's performance engineering. Yes, it is performance engineering. It's outcomes. It's engineering outcomes. So no, it's not biological engineering where you turn blue eyes.
Oh no, not that. Not that. I heard somebody talk. Let me clarify. I heard somebody talk about human engineering, not from like creating, not like that kind of stuff. Like actually, it had something to do with coaching. Maybe they didn't use the right word or something, but they were talking about.
Oh no, you're right.
They were some kind of professional in what's called human engineering, something like that. But I know it had to do with coaching because the person was a coach. So that's why I asked that question.
100%. And I'll tell you why. It goes into what I was about to say, right? But as a matter of fact, I think we'll take a break on this. And when I come back, I'm going to allude to it because it's going to take a little while. And I want to take the whole entire piece on this. So we'll be right back.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Shaan Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right. So I think I was about to really dive deep into the educational piece and the fact that IO has become a STEM. It's become it's quantified under science, technology, engineering, and math. And Junior was like, is coaching human engineering? And I said, it is when it comes to performance and outcomes, right? So client comes to Shaan Rais and says, Shaan, I want to build a business. I want to retire myself. I want to retire my wife from the workforce. What do I do? I say, okay, first we got to go deep into the mindset and see what your thoughts are about money. What's the most money you ever made in your life? Client says 70K. I say, okay, I know where their cap is. I know where their roof is. They got a $70,000 roof. So I give them a course called I call it Money Mind versus Monkey Mind. And what Money Mind versus Monkey Mind does is it challenges the constructs around economics. What is their belief system around money? People say, oh, money is evil, the root of all evil. Money is no good. Money grows on trees. Oh, I'll be okay. I'll be happy without money. I don't need money to be happy, and all of that stuff that we're taught, right? Instead of being taught ownership and abundance, we're taught scarcity and lack. So first we have to undo that stuff and open the box, open the top of the box. Then when we open the top of the box, we have another course called Origin Brand Story, where I undo all of the nonsense that took place between 0 to 7 years old, 7 to 14 years old, 14 years old to 21 years old, 21 to 28, because there's garbage in all of those years, and we carry it with us. Somebody told us to shut up when we were younger, so we don't talk. Somebody told us that children were meant to be seen and not heard, or females were meant to be seen and not heard. So as a woman, you don't talk. As a man, you saw your father cower your mother out, so you feel you have to be aggressive towards the female population. You have to be aggressive to get your point across. Or you were challenged, you grew up economically, you didn't have everything that you wanted, so you feel super aggressive and you have to assert yourself, and you think that's manhood and that's how you're going to secure the bag. There's a bunch of stuff that we grow up with that isn't true. It's conditioning, right? So we go through the origin brand story process and we identify those things, because you have to identify before you can clarify, right? People say all the time, I'm not clear, I'm not clear, I'm not clear. That's because you can't see. I'm not clear either if I can't see, right? If it's foggy with emotions and foggy with mysterious memories that confuse me and have me feeling some kind of way, in an emotional, they call it a metronome, where you go back and forth, What happens is when you do that is you're undecided. So if you think of something that you want to do, but you can't seem to do it, it's because you on that metronome piece. And a lot of times we self-inflict that with the stuff that we watch, and the stuff that we eat, and the stuff that we read. If we read, the stuff that we listen to, it re-traumatizes us and keeps us in a state of metronome, back and forth. So we can't decide. We're uncertain. We're unconfident because things are unclear. So we go through this process of unpacking all of that stuff. And then we begin to put in what's positive, put in what's possible, and put in what's progressive. And then people tend to find their voice, tend to find their core drives and passions. Like some people who don't speak anymore, they believe that they're an introvert, but they're not an introvert. They were abused. They were an extrovert. They were lively. They ran around and made noise, but they got knocked down one time that made them stop. And now they taught themselves, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't talk because it's safe. Because it's safe. An introvert gets in less trouble than an extrovert does.
True.
An extrovert makes a mess.
Very
An
true.
extrovert brings attention to themselves. So an introvert says, I learned from that. They're a former extrovert. They're an extrovert on sedatives, right? And I'm saying some real stuff, right? Because I have a clinical background, so I know what it looks like. Like a child is born, they're not born an introvert. Introversion is learned. Introversion is learned. You might have certain characteristics, but you lean into them. You lean more into them, and then we're trained and taught these things. So again, I want to say something real quick. There's two kinds of education. I don't want to go too deep into that. That's what I mean when I say after the transaction, there's a transformation that really, really takes place on the other side of the transaction. I almost went deep into it. We could be there for the rest of this year. That's how deep it is. But it will result in that gentleman or that female being able to overcome their limitation and take their 70 to 170, maybe 270 or $370,000 a year, retiring themselves, retiring their wife, setting their children up in their business so that the whole dynamic changes. When I say transformation, I mean transformation, not just feeling good and feeling puffy. That stuff is nonsense. So again, two kinds of education. There's the kind of education that's logical. That makes you say, yeah, Shaan is making a lot of sense. I know what he's saying. That's surface knowledge. Then there's the kind of education that is behavioral. That makes you say, that sounded like me. Hold on. Hold on. Am I an introvert by choice, or am I an introvert by circumstance? Hold on. And you look deeper into it. As you look deeper into it, you begin to study. Study enhances understanding. Understanding empowers behavior. Once you understand something, then you can shift it. You see, if you can identify it, then you can clarify it. If you begin to study what I'm talking about, you say, hold on now. I can remember being loud. I can remember making a mess. I can remember speaking. I can remember dancing and laughing and singing and being joyful. And I can remember that family reunion where somebody put their hands on me because I was making too much noise. Or, right, behavior. I love what extroverted remission. I love it. Watch this. Coach B just said something. Put what Coach B said up there. Put her stuff up there again. Because this happens in the neighborhood. This happens in the hood. So learn behavior and conditioning, right? So daddy leaves home. Daddy leaves home. Mom replaces daddy with somebody else. Daddy's not your father. You learn your place in that situation. Because you was a man, you was a young man, you was a child, a boy who looked like your father and who your father embraced and woke up and loved and cherished every day. And now there's a stranger who doesn't love you like that, who doesn't see you like his own reflection. And, and mommy's a little bit like, separating, and you learn your place. So now you're conditioned. Now you're conditioned. And through that conditioning, you're like, okay, if I lower my voice, mommy won't get upset. And if I lower my voice, they won't notice, right? So studying it, hacking it, becoming more acquainted with it, becoming more knowledgeable of it. Now you can say, okay, I'm going to go back to the way I was because I'm not 4 years old anymore. I'm not 14 years old. I'm 45 or something. Hold on, I'm 40 years old. I think I'm an introvert. Why am I an introvert? I wasn't an introvert. I was beaten into introversion. I was beaten into introversion. And then you can make a choice and say, well, not anymore, because I'm not 14 anymore. I'm not in mommy's house anymore. Now I get to be and choose who I am. So now when you get to choose to be who you are, this is why it's called leadership development and human development. Because it's a real development process that people go through. The money is the last thing to change. The mindset and the behavior are the first two things to change. First, you got to see it, then you got to act on it.
Yep. Wow. I think a lot of people are they're really into this. Like Travis says, extrovert in remission. Ouch.
This is coaching. This is
coaching.
And this is the coaching process. It's not motivational speaking. I love motivational speaking. I love it. Don't get it twisted when I say that you think I'm saying something against it, because I love motivational speakers, love the ones who do it well, love the ones who don't do it well, love the field. I love motivational interviewing. I have a clinical background. However, coaching, true coaching is not motivational speaking. You might be motivated. I always say it. I'm not an inspirational speaker. You might be inspired, but I'm not an inspirational speaker. Please see me on a deeper level and take what I say to heart, write it down and unpack it and see how many layers there are up in what I just said.
100%. Shaan, we're actually due for another break, so we're gonna take that, guys. When we come back, more on coaching. Stay tuned.
Yeah, put some comments in there. Let me turn this IG around, see what they got to say about all that. Good stuff. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
All right. All right. I want to speak to Winnie. Winnie says absolutely, especially when everyone is being guided by principle-based values, their behavior lines up in practice of them after clearly understanding and studying and understanding principle-based values. She says, thank you, Shaan, for offering this early morning discussion. So deeply appreciative. This is why we do it. Definitely. This is why we do it. I wanted to say something real quick. My, how time flies. My. It's already almost time to shut it down. I did want to say this, like in this climate right now, in this climate, it is very important that we are mindful of the impression that we give our youth. Again, coaching is the language of leadership. It is very important of the language that we give to our youth because we are imparting introversion on our children. We're inculcating introverts. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with introversion. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that some people who have learned introversion as a safety mechanism are not naturally that way. And because they're quiet, and because you don't hear them, because you've trained them to be quiet, you're missing so much value. You're missing so much value. You're missing your leaders. You're quieting and conditioning your leaders.
Shaan, that is so important. And I think more prevalent than a lot of us actually realize.
It is.
A lot more prevalent than a lot of people realize.
I'm not sure if I fully went into the two different knowledges and the two different educations. I just want to make sure that I did that. There's one education.
No, you didn't do that. No.
I didn't go deep into it, right? So let me go ahead and unpack that real quick before we go. Guys, there's one kind of knowledge that makes you agree with me. I'm sure everybody here agrees. Nobody's disagreeing with me, are they, in the comments? Is anybody disagreeing with me? Nobody's disagreeing with me. Okay, so watch this. Then why don't we do something different? So there's one kind of knowledge that makes you agree with me. There's one kind of knowledge that makes you align with me. There's one kind of knowledge that makes you say, wow, he's right. And then there's one kind of knowledge that makes you do something. That's coaching. That's the difference. Real coaching elicits behavioral change. Behavioral change. But you got to stick around in the incubator long enough for it to sink in and take root in you. That's why I don't coach people for less than a year. If I work with somebody in a coaching arrangement, it's going to be for 360 days because I'm not going to play with you. I know there's no such thing as a purple pill or a 90-day weight loss reduction and sustainability. Anything else is a yo-yo diet. You're going to come in, you're going to feel good, you're going to be pumped up, and then you're going to fizzle out. For sustainable change to take place, it takes time. It takes cycles. When you think of, wow, I learned this stuff, I learned all this nonsense for the last 14 years, how long do you think it's going to take to get it out of you? To start back at zero. So there's one kind of knowledge, again, I'm going to say this like the third time or the fourth time because repetition deepens the impression. There's one kind of knowledge that makes you say, wow, this is good. And then there's another kind of knowledge when you take knowledge to the next level or you get inside of a coaching situation where you're constantly inundated with the knowledge that makes you say, I'm going to do something different. Two kinds. One education says, wow, I know that. And then one education says, this is what I'm doing from now on.
100%. Coach B says, this happens in the workforce as well. We're trained at home to behave in a way that society is comfortable with. The recurrent cycle.
Woo.
Yep. That's an interesting observation, right? So she says that we're trained at home to behave in a way that society is comfortable with.
It's scary. It's scary. It
true.
feels like you're watching a movie. It feels like you're watching a movie. Everybody look the same. Everybody talk the same. Everybody quiet the same. Everybody eats the same. Everybody thinks the same. They all drinking the same Kool-Aid. It's like, hold on, what is this? It's 1984. It's like I'm watching Children of the Corn, man.
Sean, check this out. So it's so interesting, right? When you look at the concept of uniformity. So people think uniformity is, I don't know, going to work in the same building and like, let's say somebody who works at any establishment, Chick-fil-A or something, they have a uniform, right? There's a particular work attire that they use. But sometimes your thoughts are an indicator of uniformity. Everybody's wearing basketball shoes, that's uniformity. Everybody's wearing fitted caps, that's uniformity. Everybody's listening to a certain kind of music, that's uniformity. Right? So people don't really uniformity.
Can I give you an example of that? I love what you said. I just want to underline it.
Which part? Which part exactly?
The uniformity of thought.
Oh yeah, of course.
The uniformity of thought. So this is the uniformity of thought example that comes to my mind. Everybody talked about Rihanna after the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
She became a trending topic.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. However, do you have your own opinion on the whole, process? Do you have your own opinion on Rihanna? Not just regurgitating somebody else's opinion of the whole Super Bowl experience. But do you have your own do you have your own experience of that? Yeah. So it's more like uniformity of thought. Yeah, or what people typically refer to as the hive mind. But yeah, we'll just leave it there, Sean.
Well, let me say this, Julia. Let me say this. This is why I say brand you, not what you do. People say, well, why can't I brand the coaching business, Sean? And I say, because the coaching business is going to put you in direct competition with everybody else who brands a coaching business. When you see, this is the thing. This is the deep part about it, right? You can't brand you if you don't know you. So in order to brand you and be successful, you got to do some deep work. You got to do some, and I tell people all the time, the core competencies to leadership development and brand development are the same. I'll say that one more time before I give them to you. The core competencies of leadership development and brand development are the same. Self-awareness is number one. We could just stop there. But it's self-awareness, self-regulation, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. How you going to be authentic when you don't know who you are? How you going to be emotionally intelligent when you don't know how to feel or why you feel what you feel? How you going to regulate self-behavior when you don't know where that self-behavior originated? And how you going to be aware of yourself when you don't have no clue who you are when you started acting the way you did? So to develop your brand the right way and be a true autonomous brand that is phenomenal and that can help other people, you got to help yourself first. And when you do this, that's what I mean when I say add a zero to you. It's so easy to add a zero to your numbers, guys. $1 million is not hard to get, but you got to change 1 million thoughts. That's the hard part.
100%. Shaan, so before we log off, is there anything you want to say to the people with regards to this Saturday?
You want to speak, if you want to ask questions, if you want to get to a closer proximity, there's proximity and power. Stop taking it for granted. This is why we had to start doing this and going live every day, because I don't think you are aware of what we really doing over here. We a little bit different. This is not what you think it is. LiveDeepDive.com. LiveDeepDive.com. Saturday. Again, there's no chat. It's free. But people don't value free. People don't want to spend money and they don't value what's free. That's that metronome. That's that metronome. They want you to feel that way. Melancholy, unable to make a decision. Blase, blase. Ain't nothing good, but it's okay. I can tolerate it. Stop it. Stop settling for less. Stop settling for less and come to the live deep dive at 5. We call it the Leadership Live Deep Dive at 5. You register for the call at www.livedeepdive.com. If you want to come in,
100%.
ask questions, learn how to really build a business by building you first, getting that kind of coaching, building that kind of brand, learning how to speak authentically with your true voice, and ethically close deals that make sense, we can help you with that. Authenticity marketing.
Definitely, guys. So like Shaan said, it's 100% free of charge. And if this is really what you want, it would actually be the first step towards you making that decision to brand yourself. Remember, guys, brand you, not what you do. www.livedeepdive.com. See you this Saturday. Let's go.
Go.